we're live.
What an intro. I love it.
So good. Congratulations, Keith. I'm Michelle Marshall.
And I'm Keith Owen, and you are watching Hair Talk live here on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome.
And if you're listening on podcast, thanks for joining us. Remember, click subscribe and like our page. And you know, episode 6 is all about shagging. What
It still makes me...
and how you do it.
Oh, dude, it still makes me... I'm so immature. I just can't believe it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, shag, baby. It's all about Austin Powers, isn't it? I think the main thing with it is it's something that's evolving and certainly something that's really current. So people are talking about it a lot more. So hearing or seeing longer textured looks with beachy waves is really nice that we're now going to see something a little bit more rock and roll that's losing that sort of done look. So we're going to be looking at different tools, you know, to influence the look we're going to get. We're also going to be looking at section sizes, you know, how can that help us out? You know, when's it good to use maybe thicker sections and when it's good to use maybe slightly finer sections. And also, you know, it's trying to move our clients onto something different as well. The other thing as well is just to remember that we want to get as many questions from you guys as possible. So it means that you can get as much out of your time spent with us over this next hour. So in the comments bar, Michelle's in charge of that end this time. She'll be observing your comments coming in, but it's a really good opportunity for you to ask some questions about, you know, this particular haircut, be it parts of the haircut, it might be the fringe or the bang area. It could be, you know, why I'm using a razor. It could be lots of other things, but just make sure that you use the comments bar as much as you need to, because it's there to help you out. So I implore you to use that as much as you can.
So Keith, where'd you start with something like a shag? Dinner? You know, but seriously, where do you start? And to be honest, why shag?
Well, it's a good point. I mean, starting point of it is often, we've talked about this before with regards to colour, is consultation. So it's talking to our clients a little bit about, you know, what's happening, what's emerging, and where we want to take them next on their hair journey. So if we're getting a little bit bored of what our clients are having, it's often because we need to move them on. And this is quite a safe thing to move people onto. The biggest thing they're going to get is a fringe. Most shags have some sort of fringe, whether it's something that's up here, sort of more practical, or it's down in your eyes, slightly impractical, but looks really sexy, or it's something that's long down here that you can sweep over to the side. So it's a really good way of introducing people to a new look, something that's different, something that's still safe because it's still got length to it as well. But saying that, it can be lots of different lengths. It could be something that's, you know, all the way up here to something that's sort of, you know, bra strap level and longer. So there's lots of versatility with this particular look. And certainly it's a really good way of encouraging our clients on to something different. So consultation first, you know, talk about you know, fringes, different lengths of fringes. Then maybe look at drying. We're coming out of a lockdown. We're coming out of some time where people are going back to work and they may well be struggling with, oh God, I used to spend ages doing my hair, but I've suddenly got to get back into that again. It's going to be really difficult. So, you know, a shag haircut in general, when you think about where they've come from, and we'll show you a little bit of an inspiration picture in a second, they're quite undone. They are a little bit more rock and roll. They're wavy or textured or curly, and they've got something that's a little bit more edgy. So it's a bit rawer than the pretty beachy looks that we've got. It's definitely something. There you go, Chrissy Hines up there. So those of you that don't know Chrissy Hines, because there might be some youth out there Chrissy Hines was a female rock star, or still is actually. She's still about, isn't she, Michelle?
Yeah, well, this picture was not that long ago. It was only taken a couple of years ago, maybe, you know, last year or the year before. So she's still rocking the rock chick look even today.
And it's a cool look. It works really well. The funny thing, Michelle and I, before we came on, we were just running through our our script, and we brought this picture up. And looking at this again, I imagine this haircut, for those of you who know Bon Jovi, this is exactly the same haircut that Bon Jovi's got. So she's been rocking this since sort of like 60s and 70s. We're now getting to the 80s. You've got Bon Jovi that's got a similar sort of look to this. So with gender fluidity and male and female, and having versatility within a haircut, this is certainly something, for clients of both genders that they can go for. And textures of hair, fine and thick hair, there's definitely loads of variations that we can do, and it still looks really fresh and really current at the moment now as well. Like I said, it's come back into fashion again. These sort of things drift in and drift out a little bit. They're always there if you're really cool like her, and people like Blondie's another one that said something similar to this as well. It's always around, but they have moments where they're more in than they're out. So certainly at the moment, Chrissy Hines is a massive influence on this sort of shag type haircut. So
it's quite androgynous when you look at her image. It's quite androgynous.
Well, I think if you didn't know if it was Chrissy Hines, you would be questioning: who is this person? Who are they? What? Not that the gender thing would be something that you'd be thinking about, but you may be one of those questions that you think, well, it's male, female, and it doesn't matter. It's just a cool look. Yeah. But that's a really, really valid point. It's a really androgynous look, but it works. And like I said, it's soft and it's feminine, but it's not as well, because it's a little bit edgy and it's a bit rock and roll. That's the only way I think you can describe these types of things.
I just love it. I love the image, the whole thing, what she's wearing, what she stands for, it's so powerful, this image.
Yeah, so it's great proof that, I'm always one thinking about client suitability in regards to clothing and hair. I'm always a little bit like, if you've got something more structured, so this is more suit, then maybe your silhouette needs to be a little bit more smoother. But this is a real juxtaposition. You're getting the hair's looking a bit wild, a bit crazy, but she's got a really structured suit on. So it proves that that's not always the case. So, it works with lots of different personas, lots of different clothes, which is really cool. And it can certainly be dressed up and dressed down more. So you can go bigger, shoulder pads maybe, or you could slick that down. It'd be quite cool, slick behind your ears, and maybe the front quiffed up, so you've got a bit of a look going on with that. But yeah, it's really versatile, and it's not mullet, which is cool, because people are scared off that. They're thinking about shorter haircuts. Mullets are quite fashionable. They've been talked about a bit, but shags are like a longer mullety sort of thing. So it certainly takes that scare factor out of, for people. So certainly, it's a great haircut. We'll crack on with starting on it. And if there's any questions that come up, then just, feel free to ask Michelle a little bit later on. You might see another slide beneath there, which she'll come back to a bit later on regarding colour. But we're going to talk about a haircut. So let's get my Chrissy over. So I'll get this over there. Bring Chrissy in, stage left. Come on, Chrissy, on you come.
Hi, Chrissy. She's been very patient, hasn't she? She's been really
patient. Considering she's really rock and roll, she's been really patient. She's been in the green room drinking, I think, possibly.
Yeah.
So.
How much ewe's milk did you have to get for her to bathe in? That's the question.
Yeah, she's very particular. She likes her ewe's milk, does she? So yeah, first of all, I'm going to go and talk about sectioning in a second. I'm going to get straight in with cutting some hair. So we're working on this side first of all. All we're going to do with this is we're just going to draw a line and just split it in two. So it's quite a big section. It goes from the parietal ridge right at the front here, so just above our eye, and it goes round to sort of corner back. So it goes past her ear and it comes to corner back. So if I'll just spin that around, it'll give you a little bit of there you go, corner back down there. So what we're going to do with her, I said, draw a line halfway across. So it's just coming towards her ear. We can drop that hair at the back out of the way, and we're going to over direct. So that means pull the hair towards me at the front. So I'm standing in front of my lovely Chrissy Hines. And what I'm going to do with the hair then is, once I've got it in position, you see all the grains of hair coming out 90 degrees. If the floor was brought up to here, it'd be at 90 degrees out from the head. So it's going to give it a slightly harder line. Now I'm using a razor, which is going to give it a soft line. So we've got, our elevation isn't that high, so it's going to give it a bit more structure. So we're using elevation to control the strength of the haircut, but we're using a razor that gives you a really, really soft edge. So diagonal finger angle, we're coming in at the top, and we're going to do very short strokes. Just nice and short strokes. The reason why we're doing short strokes is short strokes will take hair off a little bit quicker. And what you'll see, if we drop that down, is we get, let's bring it around this way so you see a little bit better. There we go. So you get that sort of shaping around the face or feathering around the face, whatever you want to call it, but it's nice and soft around the face. If we wanted that a little bit softer, we could make the strokes of the razor a little bit longer. Or what we could also do is just elevate the hair up a little bit more. So elevation will soften things up. Longer strokes will soften things up. But if you want to get it stronger, just start to, you could come all the way down here if you wanted to as well. So you could just bring this down here, come behind and comb through or slice through. So we've got a little slide up there in regards to the types of tools, well, cutting tools that we're using. So razor versus thinning scissors versus shears. Sounds like a battle, doesn't it? Sounds like it should be a battle of the blades.
Which would, I know I can see you using a razor for this particular look, but could you use thinning scissors or shears, or is that not really advisable? What would you say, Keith?
Tools are there to use, and they all give you a slightly different look. Now, razors are always going to give you I always call it almost like a sculpting look. So if you think of a sculptor, he's got a chisel and he's got a hammer, and he depending on the angle of the chisel, he'll get either big bits that come out or he'll get long, thin bits that come off. So depending on his angle of his chisel, will give him a different look. So that's similar to our blade, depending on if our blade's like this or if it's like that. That's the equivalent of taking more out, so chiseling hard. And this is the equivalent of doing slightly longer, almost like planing bits, so smoothing bits out a little bit more. So that gives us that sort of control there. Now, when you start looking at things like scissors, which are cool, scissors they're actually as mechanical as you can get with cutting hair, because you're moving two things together. So it's a mechanical instrument you're using. So with that, you're going to get a bit more of a structured look. So maybe if you've got finer hair, scissors will be a tool that might be more advisable to use, because it's going to enable you to just give you a thicker overall look to it. Whereas you've got something that's got slightly thicker hair than coming through with a razor, because you can hold the haircut a little bit more, works maybe a little bit better. So it's choosing the tool for the type of hair type that you want or haircut that you want, and then adjusting the tool that you're using for the hair type. Does that
that makes perfect sense. But with thinning scissors, often people are using thinning scissors. Could you use them on the ends and get a similar finish to the sort of tips of the, like, shattering it? Could that work?
Yeah, I mean, thinning scissors, the thing with thinning scissors, they're quite mechanical. So you get a hard line and then you get the cut line at the end of it. So with thinning scissors, you'll get like it's almost like that type. You're getting this sort of up, down, up, down, up, down thing that you're getting with the razor. But because you've got another blade hitting it, it's very mechanical. So it puts in a hard line and then it takes the weight away. So you get the hard line. Let's do it this way. It might be better. You get the hard line and then it takes some bits out. Oh, let's try not to swear at you guys. Let's do it this way. So you've got some bits that are missing out, but you're up with this quite hard line there, and you've got the length here and then a hard line here. With a razor, what you get with that is a really soft, gradual line from one to the other. So it's a lot softer. So you get a more scoopy effect rather than a stop and a start.
So more of a transition between the lengths. Yeah,
I mean, you can do that with your scissors. I mean, if you think about your scissors, a lot of people use scissors and they'll slice through. So they'll either keep both blades pretty still and use a slicing technique or a contouring technique, whatever you want to call it, chippy, choppy, chunky, funky technique, where you're pushing the hair in between the blades. But again, that's similar to a razor because you're using pressure and you're using the blade sharpness to take the hair out. You can start doing that a little bit, which, you know, then you're cutting very slightly. So it gives you a little bit more control. So you'll get a bit more control, but with that becomes a little bit more rigidity to it. It becomes a bit more solid. With a razor, it's a lot more fluid. So there's a bit more softness to it. It's more is it I don't know. It's just a softer look you get with it. Is that for you, Michelle? Does that make you see? Because
perfect.
It's one of the things. Trying to guys in the comments box. If you're sort of not understanding that, then obviously just stick something down in the comments box. But we just want to make sure that razors are a really cool tool if you want to get a particular look. And they do have their place, certainly, within your arsenal of equipment that you've got. It's something that, once you get the confidence of using, you can really sort of make the most of. You can do a lot with, and it just adds another element to your work that you just won't get if you're using your scissors. So we're going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So remember, we split this in two, just behind the ear. Yeah. We'll let that area just drop out. And then we're going to bring the hair forward in over direction. All that hair again. Imagine the floor was built up to here. The grains of hair all coming out at 90 from the head, or 90 from the room as well. And we're just going to look for a visual guide on the other side. So we're going to pick up from our other side, and we're going to look from above to see where the lengths, so they meet. Obviously, we want to have some sort of balance on one side to the other. So we're going to just double check that. And then we're going to just come through. Nice short strokes. And you can see I'm just rolling my fingers slightly as I come through. It's just down there.
Yeah.
So when you start praying to the hair gods, you're like, hopefully that's all right. I just got to come down here a brief second. Just put that off there.
While you're doing that, Keith, Claire has said, perfect explanation, Keith. It really made sense to her about the differentiating between the tools and the effect that you're going to get.
Oh, good. That's good to hear, because I think, it's one of those things, trying to explain it. Yeah, I just think it's a hard thing to explain. And the only thing I can use or think of is a sculptor. And this is the tool that gives you that sculpting ability. So, yeah, it works really, really well. So, again, we're going to just check the length through the front. Well, it's more luck than judgment.
Look at that.
When that happens. Yeah, the balance is not too bad on here. Yeah. So what I did, this just so you guys get an idea of. So I was looking from above. So I was looking this way. So I pulled up this side, pulled it out. I grabbed this side, and then from above, I looked at where the side I hadn't cut was coming to, and then just visually cut it. The nice thing about it is, if it's not bang on, it doesn't really matter. That's the cool thing about using a razor. It's a little bit more, it's supposed to look a little bit not done. So if you have some bits that aren't quite structured, and here's the thing, if you're somebody that's really likes everything to meet up and join, using a razor is really going to challenge you. You're going to be thinking, oh my God, this is really difficult. But it's trying to adapt what it is you're doing so that you get a different look. And it always starts with you as a stylist. You might notice as well, I'm using this as I'm going through and doing my haircut. And One United is a really cool product. It does thousands of things. But the main thing it does for me whilst I'm using a razor is it makes the hair slide a little bit easier, so that when I'm using the razor, I can go through the hair quite easily. It's not weighing it down too much. And if anything, what it'll do is it'll help out with the finished result. So I'll have something that isn't quite as fluffy, because razors can have the tendency to make hair go a little bit fluffy. But that's the sort of look we want in at the end of it. When you think of that Chrissy Hines look, it is something that's quite fluffy and textured. and it's not too done, which is really where we want to be with hair at the moment.
And it's almost looking at how you're cutting and the way the shape is evolving, there's almost more movement as soon as you start to loosen it up with the razor.
Yeah, because you're getting those shorter pieces and longer pieces through it, the short sort of pushes on the long pieces and it makes it flip up like that more. So where you've got the razor going from short to long when you're doing your strokes, you'll find that it's pushing all the time. So it's encouraging it to do this, which is what we want it to do. We want it to have that sort of textured, choppy look, and it's all encouraging that to do. Whereas what you'd probably find, again, this is the reason why it's quite quick, if you're in the salon, what you're probably going to do, hey, Jason.
You say, great work, guys. Thanks for doing this. The razor has a real part in our craft and is really underused. Thank you, Jason, for that question, well, the statement for Keith, because, yes, certainly is a great tool. And watching Keith go through the breakdown of how to use it is certainly going to help lots of people. So thank you, Jason.
Good comment there. It's only because I paid Jason as well. I gave him some money for that. He's a local lad, so he's a good lad. He can buy me a drink. I'll buy him a drink next time. So I've not talked about sectioning. I'm going to come back to products, but sectioning. Before I go on and start breaking this down anymore, so we've got both sides here that we sectioned off. Then we've got our fringe area. Let's bring that off. So you've got a fringe area through here. We've then got crown area, and we've also got a back area. Now, sectioning it can be something that's a little bit, you get people doing 4 billion sections, which is cool. That's all right. But the main reason you're doing it is to plan out where you're going, and it just makes it a little bit easier from a cutting perspective. So often you'll find the section is the longest part. So you'll spend all this time sectioning, and then the actual cutting can be done in like 5 minutes. But it's the sectioning that takes the longest part. And it's really because you're just planning out what it is you're doing. And I wanted to have a fringe area. So that's why we've got a fringe area. I want to take the crown down a bit shorter. That's why I've sectioned out the crown a bit more. And I wanted the sides to have some shape. So that's why I've got those sectioned out. And the back, I want to have sort of quite loose and quite shaggy. So again, I'm just putting it down into little areas. So I don't have to try and do the whole thing in one go. So let's bring it around. Come.
Way, I know people are probably thinking this, and for those of you that are, is there a particular reason why you've got like a triangle on the crown area? Is there a good point? Reason for that? Does it need to be a triangle, or is that like intricate, part of the section?
It's just Ponzi hairdressing thing. I thought wanted to have triangles in it. That's the only reason I did that. Michelle, why did you say? Now I've got to think of a reason why. No. Section sizes. So if I wanted to take some more hair out through the back at the bottom where it's at its thickest, I could make this section a little bit wider. So that would take out more hair out down this area. Okay. Yeah. But I don't want to take quite as much out. I want to have some weight sort of through here. I don't want to take too much out for this middle bit. So that's why we've come down to a narrower point. But yeah, you can make this a bit wider either side if you wanted to. So you had more of a rectangle shape. And then you'd get a wider width of hair that was going to be cut. Mm. So, that can play part. But also with, I know you're going to talk about colour a little bit later on, but that's certainly something that, section in can be a real challenge. What do I do? Where do I go with it? So before I get to this back bit, I'm going to tell you where I'm going to get this guide from. So this section here was brought all the way to the front and connected on this front here. So this piece at the back of this section here is going to become our guide for the backs, and you'll see that a bit more when I bring Chrissy back around this way. Here's our section here. Let's bring this all up.
Oh yeah, I can see.
There's our section there. I'll bring it down a little bit. She says she's going to get friendly now. There she is. So here's our guide there. So what we want to do is, because the challenge with this is we can't do it over the top of the fingers. We're going to have to come underneath it. So what we need to do is to let this bit drop out, and then we've got to use our mind's eye. So I'm going to just, okay, we're looking at there. So I need to come in the razor there. Nice short strokes. And what I'm doing as well as I'm going along, just flipping the blade over, because as you go along, the great thing about these particular, again, just check again. The great thing about these ones that are two-sided is you've got double the amount of razor to use. And by that, I mean that as it starts to get blunter, you can flip it over to the other side. And certainly with mannequins, what you'll find is that because they have a mixture of hair in them, some of human hair, some have human hair and a mixture of synthetic hair, what you can sometimes find is that it does tend to blunt things down a little bit more. So we'll have a little look on that side. Elevate the hair up to that guide so we can just make sure we're on our way. We've got the bit that we've cut, you can just see dropping out here. And there we go. We're all right. We're ahead. We're doing all right. Now, one big section that was done. Let's bring her up so you can see.
Oh, Jason said, I know the end result will be great. Catch you guys later. Thanks, Jason, for tuning in and watching. Really appreciate it. Don't forget now, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Definitely. Definitely.
Just thought I'd do a little...
No, definitely. I think we need to, definitely go over and subscribe, and then you'll get all these little pings and things telling you when we're on again. So I'll do what this is too. For me, it's too long. So I want to come up pretty much. You can see as it comes down, I'm looking around here. I think will be a nice length to. So again, when you're on something like YouTube, it's a bit like using your mirror back in the salon. So you need to get a different perspective of how your client's looking. So by turning them around in the chair or by turning them around on something like this, I can start to work through and work out where I want to take some hair away. So just going to go a little bit reverse styly. There we go. Just over pinching. And we're just using the... I was
looking at where you're scooping that, and I know you were visually sort of putting a line there. It's almost like the end of the bend of the wave. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what you can do is when you see it start to flick, to encourage it to flick a bit more, you want to start a little bit above it. So you put a little bit of pressure in at the start. So let's bring it around this way so you can see the back a little bit better. Okay, so see this bit here, it goes in and then flicks out. So what I'm going to do is going to grab it, just pinch it and grab it. I'm going to start here, very, very light strokes. And then as I start to come to the bottom, my strokes are going to come a little bit shorter so I can take that length away. And what that will do is it will just start to encourage that to flick up a little bit more. And again, as it's drying off, you want to just encourage the hair just to see where it's going to sit once it's finished. So again, this is a little bit too long here. Where is it? Let's go reverse. Again, pick the hair up. Look for that. You can relax it off a little bit. So once you put the tension on, just drop the tension off, and you can see it starts to bend in a little bit here. So you can come up a little bit, come through. Can you see that all right, Michelle? Do I need to bring it up a little bit more?
No, you're cool. It's just about the right length. Anything lower and it would have been, but you can just see that.
So again, spinning around. Imagine your chair's going to be, your mirror's going to be over here.
It
Move
truly
the hair
is
around.
A sculpture, though.
It is. It's purely, using a razor, so it gives you a real sort of freedom to sort of pick up, look at areas, and just, work the areas that you feel need doing. I said you don't get a sculptor doesn't sort of steam into a sculpture and it's gradually taking bits off here and there. It's probably not until the last few bits of chiseling away that you actually see the finished result, which I think is often the thing with razors. You got the confidence to sort of see it through. So again, let's just come in here.
And watching you doing that, is there I know you talked about the product recommendation that you would go with would be the One United, but is there a no for cutting razor in dry or wet? Is there like a Did you not get the effect on the hair?
It sounds better when it's wet because you don't need a bit. So from a sound perspective, and also from a client's perspective, if I've had a bad experience before using a razor, then working with wet hair, it purely from an aesthetical thing, as in a sound perspective, you don't hear it, so it sounds less like, oh my god, it feels like you're damaging my hair. It's not, as long as the hair is the angle of the blade is, I can't remember what the exact precise angle is. It's something like 23 to 33%. I can't remember on the angle. It still keeps the integrity of the hair shaft. Right. So it's definitely an angle that you can get the hair at, or the blade at, I should say, that will keep the integrity to the actual hair type. So that's fine, whether it's wet or dry. And dry hair, it tends to, you've got to think you're using pressure on a razor. So if you want to take bits out quite quickly, then on dry hair this works quite well because you're not getting any stretch with it. So as soon as you put the razor to it, what it'll do is it'll just take that hair away. Whereas if you've got the stretch on it, you've got to push a little bit harder, so it's a little bit more of a fail safe. So if you're not confident, then using a razor on slightly wetter hair will work quite well. If, however, you're getting a bit more confident, use it, then you can use it on dry. But just bear in mind, as soon as you start touching it, with a razor, it's going to start disappearing quite quickly. And I've certainly made that mistake. Right at the front on somebody's hair. Actually, I was using a razor, and I just took a bloody great big chunk out the front. It was dry hair. Stupid thing. It was a brand new razor. So here's the other thing: if you're using a brand new razor, give it a couple of strokes on like either a mannequin head or something else first before you go straight in on somebody's head, because they're so flipping sharp. And I went on this particular bit, and I ended up, I was a little bit too much pressure. It was on dry hair, and it just took out a stump. Probably, it was stupidly short. I really did muck up.
Couldn't even go with like a micro fringe or something.
No, because it was behind the fringe area, so it wasn't even like in fringe territory. So I'd really cocked up. So again, learn from my mistakes. If you're going to use a razor, I think, like I said, they're great to use, but just ensure that you're using them on. You've got the confidence to use them, and just give them, just dull the blades slightly so that you've got a. It's lost some of the intensity of the sharpness, I suppose. So bangs and bangs.
Us in the UK, all for the fringe, but there's a whole new take on this, hey?
Well, there is, and it's a really good point because clients come in and they watch media, they get media from looking on their phone, and a lot of it's coming over from the States. So it's certainly something that it's a very American term. However, I know from a corporate level what they're trying to do with it is to actually use the term fringe, because they're finding if you're walking past a seminar, especially if you're doing shags and you're talking about shagging and banging, it doesn't sound so good from from that perspective.
And I think it's only it is only the UK. However, it still can cause mayhem.
Yeah, it can do, and the challenge with that is that people do get offended now. It doesn't matter what you say. There's a lot. I'm offended by what you've said. It can. It could cause offence. I mean, most of us like to have a bit of a giggle about it. We don't mind having a bit of a laugh about it. But yeah, it's a bang, and bangs come in different levels. Like I said earlier on, you've either got you're very, very practical ones that are all the way up here, which can work really well, but then you've got the hassle of growing it out or getting in your eyes too quickly. You've then got the ones that are a little bit longer, which are really impractical but look really sexy. Or you've got the ones that are even longer than that, where they tuck it behind their ears most of the time. It's not really worth having a fringe. So, you've got a big area. The ones I mean, though. You get come it here, and then all the first thing you do is tuck it behind the ears of swines. So, you've got a big area that you can work in. But most shags have some sort of fringe. Claire's done the same with the fresh blades. Yeah, it's a nightmare, isn't it? You're like, oh, my God. So we're going to do this fringe area. We're going to look at doing it in a big chunk. And I'm just going to talk you through what I'm going to do now. The section that we cut through the sides is quite short. It's sitting up by her cheekbones. This fringe I'm going to do so it's hitting sort of a lip. So this fringe section is actually going to be longer than the bit underneath. So what will happen if I bring this round to the side like that, you'll see, and this hair again has got to travel from the same distance as this piece of hair. So it started from corner back, this came to the front. This hair and this section, which is part of the fringe, comes from corner back as well to the front, but it's going a little bit further. So this top bit is going to be longer than underneath. Okay, because it's going to be longer than underneath, it's going to be disconnected. So we're going to have some long bits and some short bits. But the great thing about that with this type of shaggy look is we want it to look a bit short and long. So it works really well. The other thing you need to do when you're doing something like this is you need to ensure that you tell your client that's what you've done. Otherwise, they'll go home, have a little look in the mirror, suddenly become Vidal Sassoon and put their hands in there and go, well, this bit's short and this bit's long. You've done a rubbish haircut. Possibly.
Well,
so
we've all been there when we've had our haircuts checked and.
Oh yeah, the old haircut checking, but yeah, oh, I don't like that bit. It's always nerve-wracking, wasn't it? So what I want to do is similar to what we said earlier on. I'm going to start higher up than my finish line. So I'm going to start working here, and as I get close to my fingers, my strokes are going to come shorter, so that I start to take more length away. So let's go in. It's one big section. So because it's a big section, it's going to be really raggedy and jaggedy, and it possibly might take me a little while, not a lot, to get through. There we go. And we're doing a horizontal line. So you'll find because this hair around the hairline is a little bit closer to the front than the hair around the back, what it'll end up doing is it will give us a curved effect. So we'll get something that's going to be quite like that by the end of it. We're also not elevating it a lot as well. So when you look at the elevation, it's quite low. So it means it's going to look a little bit harder and a little bit more solid. Although we're using a razor, it's still going to encourage it to look more solid. So go shorter strokes. Can you see it? Let's come around that way so you guys can see.
You're doing really well, Keith.
So like that, just come
Any
through.
comments on cutting of the fringe? Any other questions? You know, please don't be afraid to pop them in the comments, whether it's live now with us or on replay, because Keith will be answering any of your questions, especially to do with the fringe section, because we get asked lots, you know, from lots of people about, you know, creating a fringe that isn't sort of a traditional looking fringe. Yeah.
And also, if you want to get it, just because I'm doing it here, if we do exactly the same thing, so let's bring it around this way. If I was to do exactly the same thing all the way up here, it'd be shorter in the middle and longer on the outside edges. So when when this fringe was dried, you'd find she'd get a bit of a curve going with it, which they're really quite hard to cut. When you try and do it freehand, it's quite difficult to actually do. So if you think about it on a technical perspective, horizontal line, make sure your fringe is quite wide. It means that you'll start to get more of a curve. If your fringe isn't wide enough, what you'll get is you'll get a tiny little bit of a bend in the middle, but hardly anything. It'll look straight. So your fringe you need to have enough material in your fringe, as in hair in your fringe, to be able to encourage you to get that type of look to it.
And is that because when it's brushed into natural fall, it sits over the top of the rest?
Yeah, so when you look, it's a really good point. When you look at this has gone past, this hair here doesn't fall here, it falls towards the back. But knowing that, I know that this front bit, when you'll see when this comes, when we dry this off or we cut this bit, is that you'll find that the fringe area at the front will be, it's quite long, but it'll have this curve. So let's do that whilst we're talking about it. So here's our fringe here. And if I just comb that down, you'll see it really drops off down here. Now, it doesn't have to be something that's down here. It could be all the way sitting up here. But what you've got prepared to see is that you're going to start to see a harder line around this back bit. Okay? And the reason why it's there is because we haven't elevated it up a lot. we've kept it all quite low. So the elevation is low, so it's going to be harder. And it doesn't live at the front, it lives at the back. So if you've elevated this hair up more here, and this isn't elevated up as much, you're going to end up with something that looks slightly harder through this area. Does that make?
Yeah, no, makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Make it sense. Good, as long as it's making sense.
We're with you. We're with you.
So let's have a little look at her from the front. Oh, look at her. She's proper rocking it out. Again, just move the hair around. Often, you know, hairdressers, they do one or two things. They're either doing this because they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to think, oh, shit, where do I go? What have I done? It's a real panic on. Or you're doing it just to see what the texture's doing. Normally the giveaway, if they don't know what they're doing, is that their head's gone like this. And then you're behind there going, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this?
We've all been there.
You know, you hide behind the head. You're like, oh.
If you don't make eye contact, it's not happening.
Yeah, definitely, it's not happened. It's definitely not happened. So yeah, you know, that's our fringe area done. Let's have a little look around here. She needs a little bit. No, she's cool. Maybe a little bit there. I'll just do a little bit there. Yeah, she's drying off really well. The texture on this is coming up beautiful. It's all natural as well. So you know, we're not curling this, not done anything with it at all. So the last bit we've got to do is the crown. Now this is something that we can have some real fun with if we want to. I think I'll probably go down fairly short so we can puff it up a little bit. It's going to be completely disconnected from the rest of it. So we're just going to pick a length that we're happy with and go with it. And again, you know, the shorter this starts to go, the more height you're going to get with it. But what you'll also find after a period of time is it'll start to collapse and go quite flat. So it's really ensuring that, you know, the length that you decide to go to, it's either short enough that it's going to last a long time, or it's long enough that it doesn't do that thing where it looks like they're being hit on the back of the head with a spade, you know, and it's really flat round there. So I would, again, I'm gonna twist this. I'm gonna have a little look where it's the curl's looking quite good to about here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up going through my razor at this point here. As it starts coming further up, it starts to lose it a little bit up here. But it's also got enough length to see that curl coming. So it's not going to cut the curl away, if that makes sense. You don't want to...
When you're blousing down, you're sort of twisting and pushing and letting it sort of almost like bellow over the rest. Is that to see the curl or to see where it's laying over the crown?
It's just because I saw another hairdresser doing it. I thought it looked really cool. No, you hit the nail on the head. It's really just to see where that curl pattern's going. If I do that and come in with it, I'm not, you know, if I come in really low down here, if I let that relax off, I'm only getting like half a curl in that, not even a full curl. So it means when it's dry, it may not be curly there. It might go fairly straight. So by lifting it up a little bit higher and then just relaxing it down a bit more, I could see that, okay, it curls around there and it starts to go again. So anywhere around here, I'm still going to leave some curl in the hair. Yeah. So let's have a little chomp there. So we're looking at, you know, a good, you know, 2-3 inches off there. So I can get some tension on now. I know where I'm going to. I'm going to work from both sides. I'm going to do from where I'm standing at the back of this hair first. So let's bring it around so you can see a little bit more. Come on, Lee. Come on, round for it.
That's good.
So yeah, you can see I'm just doing a little bit of this side. And it's just to make sure that I get an even cut. If I keep going this side, what'll happen is it'll get longer. It'll be longer towards the back. Okay, which is okay if I want to do that. But what I want to do is keep this whole area sort of shortish. So if I do a bit at the front and then a little bit at the back, it means then that all this hair is going to be kept in one place rather than starting at the front and pushing backwards. It will just gradually start to get longer sort of over this way. So from the front, let's come up that way so you guys can see from the back. And you just keep going until
ta-da!
chop that bit off. Ta-da!
were listening, there was quite a large chunk of hair that came off. But in a good way, in a good way.
In a good way, in a good way, in a good way. Let's bring her up so we can see. There we go. Yeah. You can really see that now.
Beautiful, yeah.
And the nice thing about it is, because we assessed the hair before we started to cut it, we can see that that curl, although it's quite a lot shorter than the rest of it, it can still come into the haircut. So it's not been cut so short that the texture's been cut away from it. Then there's two ways of doing this. You could spend I've worked somewhere before where somebody finger dried, and they literally just used the heat of their fingers to dry the hair off. So they just, you know, from the client's perspective, it's probably really nice because they had like, you know, the haircut was like half an hour, and then they had sort of 20 minutes of almost like a massagey type thing just to dry the hair within the fingers. Yeah, clients might not want to spend a lot of time doing that. So, you know, a diffuser works really well. There's a couple of products you can use. Cream-based products work well. I'm going to use some Aerate. So we're looking at a fingernail sort of size of that.
Not much then, really, Keith, you're using?
No, I don't need a lot. Remember, I've been putting in some pillow-proof, not pillow-proof, I've been putting in One United. So it's already got some stuff in it. So a little bit of water just to enable the hair to be able to, the product to work through the hair. We don't need to put much more onto it. So just a tiny bit of water, a tiny bit of Aerate through. And again, we're just right into the hair. Work it all the way through. You know, from a client's perspective, you just say to them, right, all you need to do now is just keep it in place and just let it dry off on its own.
It's really built the width up and the crown height. It's really sort of transformed the sort of the whole silhouette of her hair.
Yeah, I mean, it's a, you know, she's got height, she's got texture, she's got a shaggy look going on with it. You know, it looks like she's had a good shag, and her hair is just, you know, it's pretty hair. It's allowing the hair to do what it naturally wants to do, but it's ensuring that you're using the right tool to encourage it to do that and knowing where to cut it. So remember, we're looking at just before it starts to bend. We're going a little bit before that, so we can hit it where it's got the curl and then take the length off just as the curl starts to curl up, so we can still keep that bend in the hair, and that encourages us to have this more textured look to it. Nice. What would you do color-wise, Michelle? With I know with how would you color a shag?
How would you color a shag? Oh, let me just share. Bear with me. So we've got these are sort of some inspo slides. We've got a similar feel, and I'll just pop us on so you can see.
You disappear. Where are you, Michelle? Go get yourself. There you go, so I can see you.
So you can see with the three images that we've got on, they're very similar shape to the cut that the shag that Keith has created, but taking the face frame, think about the face frame. Everybody, you know, including myself, has been going for this bold color around the front, but how can we incorporate that same essence of vibrancy but put it into a shag? So the one with the pink in it is gone for that strength of color around the hairline, which would be the same placement as a face frame, but then has left it very natural over it. So you've got almost like that veil of natural color sitting over strong color, almost the reverse of what maybe you would have seen before, where the power in the color is sitting on top of somebody's natural hair. It's sort of that reverse. So you're still getting that pop. You can see it really still just brings her eyes out. It just really is strong and really accentuates that fringe. And then when you go to the middle image, for me, that's the epitome of grunge, but in a more expensive, more classier way. You know, that would have taken several layers of color to create those nuances of tone. So it's got bits of toffee in there, bits of chocolate, bits of brown, but again, it adds that dimension of texture. And would you agree, Keith, that middle one for me is the razor cut?
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, it's a full blown. Yeah, you can just. I doubt it's been cut with anything other than a razor, because it's just because you can't get that without using a razor. That sort of really soft, bedded in, organic, look. You just don't get it with scissors. So I'm not going to say I'm going to bet money. Somebody will go, I cut that haircut, and I used scissors the whole time.
I'm not a betting person, but let's I'll only lose. But that is definitely the strength. If you're looking for a visual, and I know Keith will post what he's already created on his Instagram, but when you're looking at that would give you that sort of whimsical ends to it. But then the color is just sort of layers of color to build up that texture, but not it's more of a lived in way. When you look at the blonde on the right hand side with the red lips, she's got a longer version. It's almost sort of bra strap past her boob level. For those of you who are listening, it's really long and elongated, but the color that they've placed in there is very detailed, very lived in. There's not the contrast, because it's still showing that soft side. But rather than having light underneath the fringe, we've got natural and depth, and the blonde or the lighter pieces, the ribbons of colour, are sitting through the mid-lengths and ends. So very much like a teasy light. So we're still using the key terminology and the key key colouring techniques that we're seeing very much today and very much on trend, but it's adapting them to a different hairstyle and something that is it's giving you that essence of that lived in vibe to it. Is there anything you'd like to add, Keith, to sort of just sort of wrap up the colour and the design together?
I mean, again, looking at these, the focal point is the fringe area with all three looks of these. So just the color placement in those areas, and like I said, there's a lot of face framing going on, and if you were to do that on natural hair, just some pieces through the front, if you've got a client that's maybe a little bit color shy, not really into oh my god, color, I'm gonna have to have a full head, this is a really cool way of ensuring that an introduction to color in a really pretty, really workable way. And especially the picture in the middle, you've got different tones and stuff going on with that. It's quite an involved look, and I think that's often where hairdressers might look at images and go, "Oh, I've only stuck one colour on that." But when you start breaking it down and you start telling clients about what's involved with it as well, and I think that's the important thing, is telling people exactly what goes on to get that look. Then they understand why you're charging X amount of money to achieve it, rather than going, "Oh, I can stick that on myself," in that voice, because that's the sort of thing that they possibly would say. I'm not saying they might not talk in that stupid voice I just did, but it's getting them to think about colour more and involving them in how much there is involved. So yes, this is only a few pieces of colour here, but it's what we've done with it. Yes, this has got different tones on it. So yeah, you might go home and think, I'm going to stuff this on the hair, but this is actually, if you look in depth, this has got this, and this going on with it. Yeah, there's loads going on with it. But
we know if somebody put an all over colour on themselves, they would just get a very solid silhouette. They wouldn't have any dimension. It would be quite heavy looking. And no matter how much you razor the hair, then you're not going to see those pieces, because it really is colour and design hand in hand. So and as Keith said, it's all about educating. It's educating ourselves, but also educating our clients or our guests to know how we go about doing things. And would you agree, Keith? For me, it's all about the why. And if I can help somebody understand, whether they're the hairdressers or guests or clients that come to us at the salon, if people can understand the why we do what we do, then it just makes our lives a lot easier, and also they buy into it more.
Oh, completely. It's certainly, you know, if you look at any of these pictures, you say, oh, you can see how it's doing that. You know, the reason why it's got that influence to it is because we've done this to it. You see why this goes from lighter to darker here, and it's very subtle. That's because we've done this to it. That's why it's doing that. And as soon as the why is being given to people, then they can make a more educated choice on where they want to go with their hair. And also, it's an honest thing you're giving them as well. You're being honest. You're saying this to get that, you need to do this. So it means you've got to know your stuff. That's the other thing as well.
Exactly, and that's what we're here for. We're here every week at 6 p.m. to help educate you to be able to help your guests and make more money. That's what we're all about, is being able to build your client base, whether you've got a very small client or guest base, or whether you're, you know, a powerhouse, but you're just looking to up your game and just move one step further towards your goal rather than just staying still. Because myself and Keith will tell you, you know, hand on heart, we've been on such a journey with where we started and where we've got to with especially with Redken or with our salons, and it's all about keeping moving one step further rather than staying still, so that your work looks current and not, you know, circa, you know, 1995. And there's nothing wrong in that, but we want it to look more modern.
Yeah, definitely. They're great images. Yeah, so next week we've got a guest on next week, haven't we? We've got a fabulous friend of ours, who's, well, I think we're a bit like the Three Musketeers when we go travelling, and certainly Michelle and Kelly Scott, who's going to be on next week, have introduced me to lots of lady lotions, especially when we were flying. So I ended up with, you know, Clinique this and 8-hour cream that and that type of stuff. But you know, Kelly's a great friend of ours, and we've got the great opportunity of sharing with you her journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, you know, Kelly's gone from being, for those of you who know, she's gone from being a Redken platform artist nationally and internationally, and working behind the chair in the salon that she was working at Strands, for those Strands crew that join us. And now she's gone to see the other side of things from a corporate point of view, and moved all the way to Dubai. So it'll be a really interesting, we've heard her story. It's a great story of how different things are culturally, but also how her journey to where she is. And, you know, you too could have that journey.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it's a bit like everything where you end up doing stuff for a company, whether it be like you're representing them either in a show or you're representing them as in you're working for them. It's almost a little bit mystical of how you get to these particular points, and it's really nice when you get somebody that's been from one side and got to the other, because they can tell you exactly what's involved. And you know, there's a lot of hard work. I know that for a fact, but certainly Kelly will be letting us know in detail a bit more about what's going on. So make sure you tune in next Monday at 6 o'clock, like I said, either on Facebook or over on YouTube, Hair Talk and More. Click and subscribe.
Hit subscribe. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate you being with us this evening and spending this hour. If you're watching in replay, please put your comments in the chat bar. Keith Scott got his shag there, and she is looking mighty fine. She's actually stolen my red lips for tonight. Sporting the red lips, and Keith put his powder on tonight, but you know, he talks about his lady lotions, but he's even got Chrissy with her red lips tonight, just for you. Just for you. So
we'll see you next week, and thanks again, guys. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thanks very much.